Mysterious Roman dodecahedrons. Unexplained ancient artifacts. Occasionally, remnants from the past endure, presenting objects that defy explanation, artifacts that elude any straightforward interpretation. These ancient items challenge us with questions that lack simple answers, prompting us to ponder their origin, purpose, and reason for existence. Among such enigmatic relics are small, intricately fashioned objects dispersed throughout Europe, puzzling historians for generations. Known as Roman dodecahedrons, these are 12-sided hollow metallic structures dating back nearly 2 millennia. They have been uncovered in fields, old military sites, and even burial grounds. Despite being purposefully crafted, with each face bearing a circular aperture, no historical documents reference them, and Roman writings offer no insight into their function. Although dozens of these artifacts have surfaced across the former Roman Empire, their purpose continues to elude scholars. The initial discovery of these peculiar objects occurred in the 18th century, and since then, more than 100 have been located, primarily within present-day France, Germany, Belgium, and the United Kingdom. Typically constructed from bronze or brass, their sizes range from approximately 4 to 11 centimeters in diameter. While their designs show slight variations, they consistently exhibit the same fundamental geometric form. A 12-sided structure with each face featuring a circular opening of differing dimensions. Some versions are adorned with small protruding knobs at the vertices, whereas others possess a smooth finish. Regardless, their striking similarity suggests a common function, despite their widespread geographical distribution. The Roman dodecahedrons pose an intriguing dilemma due to their complete absence from ancient texts. The Romans, known for their meticulous record-keeping of daily life, documented even the most mundane aspects, including tools and weaponry. Yet, not a single mention of the dodecahedrons exists, neither in historical writings nor in inscriptions or artwork, suggesting either a deliberate omission or a universally known purpose that rendered documentation unnecessary. Speculations regarding their utility span a wide spectrum, from practical uses to outlandish theories. Some propose that the dodecahedrons served as instruments for measuring distances or angles, possibly utilized in surveying or construction. The holes of varying diameters might have facilitated calculations involving light or shadows. Alternatively, some posit that these artifacts functioned as candle holders. However, the absence of soot marks makes this theory doubtful. Another hypothesis suggests that they served a military role, potentially as rangefinders for Roman artillery to gauge projectile trajectories, though the lack of direct association with weaponry weakens this argument. An even more intriguing idea proposes that the dodecahedrons had a connection to textile production. Some historians theorize that these objects were used as tools for knitting or weaving, particularly in glove making, with the holes guiding threads in a specific pattern. Nonetheless, this remains speculative. In contrast to utilitarian interpretations, some scholars believe the dodecahedrons held symbolic or spiritual significance. Many were discovered near religious sites and temples, hinting at their potential use in divination or rituals. One notion suggests that they could have functioned similarly to dice, with the positioning of knobs or holes influencing fortune-telling practices. Others speculate that they were involved in secretive cult activities known only to select Roman circles. A striking aspect of the dodecahedrons is that none of them are identical. Unlike standardized Roman artifacts, these objects appear individually crafted, hinting that they were not mass-produced for general use. This uniqueness has led some to theorize that they might have held personal significance, possibly denoting social status, mystical practices, or affiliation with an obscure Roman guild. One particularly fascinating find occurred in the Netherlands, where a similar item made of gold surfaced. distinct from the typical bronze dodecahedrons. This luxurious variation raises questions about whether these artifacts might have also served as symbols of status or been used in ceremonial contexts. If so, why did they vanish from recorded history? The scarcity of concrete evidence has fueled endless conjecture. Some have even pondered whether these objects originated from a pre-Roman culture or were introduced from an external society, with their meaning fading over time. Modern attempts to replicate and investigate the dodecahedrons have produced mixed outcomes. Some researchers have experimented with their potential as astronomical devices, exploring whether they might track celestial movements, while others have tested their application in weaving, yet no definitive conclusion has emerged. Perhaps the most perplexing feature of the dodecahedrons is that despite their apparent importance to their creators, they seemingly vanished without a trace. They neither evolved into new technologies nor left behind any clear legacy. It is almost as though their function became irrelevant, forgotten, or intentionally erased from memory. Some believe the answer lies in the object's simplicity, being compact, portable, and hard to date precisely. Perhaps they served such a mundane purpose that it never warranted documentation, or maybe they belonged to a specialized group that guarded their knowledge, ensuring it remained unwritten. To this day, as more dodecahedrons continue to be unearthed, the riddle persists. Scholars, archaeologists, and curious minds alike remain captivated by their origins and function, yet the truth remains elusive. Were they practical devices, sacred artifacts, or something entirely unforeseen? Whatever their purpose, Roman dodecahedrons remind us of the vast mysteries still buried within our past. They are not alone. History is teeming with enigmatic objects that challenge our understanding, hinting at lost wisdom and forgotten cultures. As we continue to explore, we may one day unravel another historical enigma. The Dead Sea Scrolls, ancient manuscripts that transformed religious understanding. This story takes us on a journey deep into the arid desert, where a trove of ancient manuscripts written in an enigmatic script holds secrets that have baffled scholars for generations. Next, we delve into the enigma of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Discovered during the mid-20th century, these ancient documents have captivated historians and academics for decades. They are considered some of the most momentous archaeological discoveries ever made. Yet they pose as many questions as they provide answers. Who authored these texts? Why were they concealed within the caves near the Dead Sea? And could they hold forgotten wisdom that might reshape our comprehension of the past? The tale begins in 1947, within the harsh desert landscape now known as the West Bank. A young Bedouin shepherd, while searching for a lost goat, stumbled upon a cave hidden among the cliffs near the ancient ruins of Qumran. Inside, he discovered an assortment of clay vessels, some of which contained ancient manuscripts wrapped in linen. Unaware of their true importance, he and his fellow shepherds sold a few of the manuscripts to local antique merchants. Only when scholars examined the writings did they comprehend the magnitude of the find. Manuscripts dating back more than 2 millennia, potentially the oldest surviving biblical documents ever uncovered. The revelation shook the academic community, prompting archaeologists to flock to Qumran, eager to unearth more. During the following decade, archaeological digs revealed a total of 11 caves containing remnants of nearly 1,000 different scrolls. Some were astonishingly well preserved, while others had disintegrated into countless fragile fragments. Most of the texts were composed in Hebrew, though some appeared in Aramaic and Greek. The writing materials varied as well. Some texts were inscribed on parchment, others on papyrus, and a few etched onto copper sheets. What made the Dead Sea Scrolls particularly remarkable was their content. Many of the manuscripts included versions of books from the Hebrew Bible, some almost identical to contemporary texts. while others exhibited minor but intriguing differences. Additionally, some scrolls contain previously unknown writings, featuring apocalyptic visions, cryptic prophecies, and depictions of ancient religious rites. Other manuscripts detailed the doctrines and practices of a secluded Jewish community, possibly the Essenes, who may have lived in isolation near Qumran. The discovery immediately sparked questions. Who composed these manuscripts and why were they hidden within the desert? One leading hypothesis suggests that the Essenes, a Jewish sect that distanced themselves from mainstream society, were responsible. Known for their rigid spiritual practices, communal living, and apocalyptic beliefs, the Essenes may have considered themselves the guardians of the faith, preserving their interpretations of Scripture as tensions in Judea heightened under Roman occupation. When conflict arose, perhaps during the Jewish revolt against Rome in the 1st century CE, the Essenes might have concealed their sacred manuscripts in caves, intending to retrieve them later. However, if that was their plan, they never returned. The manuscripts remained untouched for nearly 2,000 years, safeguarded by the desert solitude. Not all researchers concur with this theory. Some propose that the scrolls may have originated from various sources, possibly even from the Great Temple in Jerusalem, hidden for protection before its destruction in 70 CE. Others believe the collection reflects a more diverse array of Jewish thought from the period. Due to the absence of definitive evidence, the precise origin of the Dead Sea Scrolls remains an unresolved mystery. Beyond their religious and historical value, the scrolls also contain unusual and unsettling passages. Among them are apocalyptic writings, portraying cosmic battles between forces of light and darkness, prophecies of a messianic figure, predictions of the world's end, and cryptic narratives about divine entities interacting with humanity. Some scholars believe these texts provide insight into early Jewish mystical traditions, ideas that may have later influenced Christianity and other spiritual movements. One of the most puzzling finds among the scrolls is the copper scroll. Unlike the others, which were written on parchment or papyrus, this one was engraved on thin metal sheets. Its content diverges significantly as well. It resembles a treasure map outlining a series of locations where substantial amounts of gold and silver are supposedly concealed within the Judean wilderness. Some theorists suggest that this treasure belonged to the Second Temple in Jerusalem, hidden away before Roman forces destroyed it. Despite numerous efforts to locate the treasure, no such wealth has been uncovered. The enduring allure of the Dead Sea Scrolls lies in their dual nature as both historical documents and profound enigmas. Although their existence is undeniable, they embody elements of the unknown, fragments of beliefs, warnings, and stories from a long-vanished era. They challenge our perception of ancient religions, hinting at concepts that may have been lost or deliberately suppressed over time. Even now, as experts continue to investigate the scrolls, new discoveries occasionally come to light. In 2021, archaeologists uncovered more fragments of biblical texts within a cave near Qumran, the first such findings in over 50 years. The quest for answers continues, and as research techniques advance, we may eventually uncover even more hidden truths preserved within these ancient writings. For now, the Dead Sea Scrolls endure as one of history's most captivating mysteries. They offer a rare glimpse into an ancient world, a time of prophets, scribes, and guarded traditions, safeguarded against the passage of time in the dry caves of the Judean desert. Yet history often cloaks its secrets, and countless other texts, symbols, and codes still await decipherment. The Dead Sea Scrolls serve as a profound reminder that each revelation can lead to further questions, challenging our understanding and leaving us yearning for more. The moving rocks of Death Valley, stones that mysteriously glide on their own. There are phenomena that continue to baffle science, and in the desolate, sun-scorched terrain of Death Valley, lies a mystery that has confounded researchers for decades. Massive stones, some weighing several hundred pounds, appear to move across the desert floor entirely unaided, leaving long, winding tracks behind. No human or animal footprints are seen nearby, and no visible force seems to propel them. The stones simply glide, as if dragged by an invisible hand. This perplexing occurrence is known as the enigma of the sailing stones of racetrack playa, one of the most baffling natural mysteries on the planet. Located within a remote section of Death Valley National Park, Racetrack Playa is an ancient dried lake bed, a vast flat stretch of cracked earth that extends for miles in every direction. It is a surreal, almost alien landscape, bleak and silent, where the air shimmers under the relentless desert sun. Scattered across this hardened surface are numerous large stones, some as small as a football, while others tip the scales at over 700 pounds. Each stone leaves behind a distinct trail, as if it had been dragged through the soil by an invisible force. Some trails are perfectly straight, while others bend, curve, or zigzag unpredictably. A few stones even appear to have flipped over during their journey. Yet the fundamental mystery remains unchanged. There is no obvious reason for their movement. For many years, geologists, scientists, and intrigued visitors have attempted to decode the riddle. The stones are not constantly in motion. Many remain stationary for years before moving once more. No one has ever witnessed the rocks moving firsthand. Early theories ranged from gravitational anomalies to subterranean vibrations, but none adequately matched the observed evidence. The phenomenon did not follow any discernible pattern, and no known natural force seemed capable of moving such hefty stones across a smooth, solid surface. Some researchers speculated that fierce winds might push the stones, but even the intense gusts of Death Valley seemed insufficient given the sheer weight of the rocks. Others proposed that occasional rain, although rare in the region, might create a slick surface, enabling the stones to slide. However, without consistent documented proof, the mystery remained unresolved. Over the years, the moving stones have given rise to numerous speculative theories. Some link the phenomenon to extraterrestrial involvement, pointing to the many reports of UFO sightings in the area. Others veered toward the supernatural, suggesting that the stones were imbued with spiritual energy or moved by forces beyond human understanding. Yet these ideas lacked concrete evidence. Notably, the stones were not randomly scattered. They followed well-defined paths, indicating a consistent, though still mysterious, natural process. One of the most eerie aspects is that some trails end abruptly, as if the rock had lifted off the ground entirely before settling in a different spot. It wasn't until 2014 that scientists managed to record the stone's movement in real time. Employing time-lapse photography and GPS tracking, a group of researchers discovered that the stone's movement resulted from an unusual set of environmental factors. During cold winter nights, a thin layer of water from rare rains would freeze, forming a sheet of ice that trapped the stones. As the morning sun warmed the ice, it would begin to thaw and fragment, creating thin sheets that glided over the wet, slippery surface of the playa. These moving ice panels, slowly but forcefully, dragged the stones along, creating the characteristic trails. This movement was extraordinarily slow, almost imperceptible to the naked eye, but over time, it produced the long, sinuous tracks that had mystified observers for generations. Although this explanation offers a plausible scientific solution, the phenomenon still retains an air of mystery. In many respects, the sailing stones continue to stand out as one of the world's most bizarre natural occurrences. The idea of enormous rocks smoothly traversing the desert floor remains captivating, even with a rational explanation in hand. However, some questions still linger. Why do only certain stones move, while others, seemingly identical and located in similar conditions, remain fixed in place? Why do some trails persist for decades while others gradually disappear? If this remarkable occurrence has taken place for centuries, are there other regions on Earth where similar secrets are concealed, waiting to be unearthed? From age-old manuscripts hidden within arid desert caves to stones that inexplicably shift on their own, the mysteries of our world continually remind us of how much remains beyond our understanding. As we continue to investigate and uncover new phenomena, the moving stones of Death Valley stand as a testament to nature's ability to astonish and perplex. The Forgotten Labyrinth of Egypt, an enigmatic underground wonder. Our story takes us far from the scorching heat of Death Valley to a place even more enigmatic, hidden for millennia beneath Egypt's sands. This is the legendary Lost Labyrinth of Egypt, a structure chronicled in ancient records as more marvelous than the pyramids themselves, yet no trace of it has ever been uncovered. Could this be one of history's most remarkable lost treasures? Let's delve into the mystery. The tale of the Lost Labyrinth of Egypt is one of vanished splendors, a grand structure described as more magnificent than even the pyramids, yet swallowed by time. Egypt, however, is no stranger to buried secrets. Beneath its golden sands, archaeologists continuously reveal findings that defy conventional explanations. Some are temples, some are tombs, and some are entirely unprecedented. Within the vast necropolis of Saqqara, where the sands echo with ancient Egyptian history, one particular discovery stood out from the rest, a colossal black sarcophagus unlike any other. But when archaeologists finally pried it open, what they discovered inside posed more questions than it answered. This is the enigma of the Saqqara tomb of the unknown creature. Saqqara, home to the iconic step pyramid of Djoser, ranks among Egypt's most significant archaeological sites. For over 3,000 years, it served as a necropolis for pharaohs, nobles, and sacred animals. Yet in 2018, a team of Egyptian archaeologists unearthed a find that even the most seasoned experts found perplexing. Hidden deep beneath the desert sand lay an enormous stone sarcophagus, nearly 9 feet in length and weighing several tons. What made this sarcophagus particularly unique was not just its immense size, but its striking dark hue. Crafted from solid granite, it had remained sealed for thousands of years, untouched since the days of ancient Egypt. Opening it proved to be an arduous task, as unlike most sarcophagi, which had been plundered in antiquity, this one remained completely intact. The lid alone weighed around 30 tons. As workers cautiously lifted it, the stale ancient air within escaped into the modern world for the first time in millennia. However, what lay inside was not a pharaoh, a high-ranking priest, or even a noble figure. Instead, the contents were skeletal remains of a being no one anticipated. It was neither human nor a commonly mummified sacred animal such as a bull, falcon, or cat, creatures frequently embalmed in ancient Egypt. Instead, the remains belonged to something entirely unfamiliar, something never previously documented within Egyptian tombs. The skeletal structure suggested a creature of remarkable size, large and powerful, yet its species could not be immediately classified. The discovery sent ripples through the archaeological community, leaving Egyptologists pondering what kind of creature was deemed significant enough to be interred in such a grand and elaborate sarcophagus. Some experts propose that it might have been an unusually large feline, perhaps a lion, considering their occasional sacred status in ancient Egyptian culture. Others speculated it could have been a now extinct species, one that once prowled the banks of the Nile but vanished long before modern records began. But some theories ventured even further into the extraordinary. Could it be that this was not an ordinary animal, at least not in a way we understand? Ancient Egyptian lore teems with mythical hybrid beings, deities merging human and animal traits: Anubis, the jackal-headed god of the underworld, and Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess of war, are prime examples. Could this mysterious sarcophagus have contained a symbolic creature rather than a literal one? Was it an offering to the gods, a representation of a divine beast, or something entirely unexpected, perhaps purposefully hidden from history? Adding to the intrigue was the tomb's stark simplicity. Unlike typical animal burials that are accompanied by elaborate carvings or inscriptions, this tomb bore no hieroglyphs, no decorative markings, nothing to indicate the identity of the interred being. It was almost as if the creature's identity had been deliberately obscured or entirely erased from history. To solve the riddle, DNA analysis was conducted to identify the animal's species, but the results were not immediately definitive. Some evidence suggested it might indeed be a large feline, possibly a lion, though it did not match any known specimens from ancient Egypt. But even if it were a lion, why was it honored with such an enormous sarcophagus when no other lion had ever been afforded such grandeur? Was this particular creature highly revered, or did it symbolize something deeper within Egyptian spiritual beliefs? The black sarcophagus itself raised further speculation. Its massive weight and secure ceiling suggested it was intentionally meant to remain closed, almost as if whatever lay within was meant to stay contained. This led to even more fantastical theories. Was it a cursed burial, intended to imprison something dangerous? Ancient Egyptians were known for their meticulous burial practices to protect the dead, but could this sarcophagus have been designed to lock something away? The mystery of the Saqqara tomb of the unknown creature remains one of Egypt's most bewildering finds. Though scientific studies have offered a few insights, many fundamental questions persist. What precisely was this creature? Why was it buried in such a distinct and puzzling manner? And what, if anything, were the ancient Egyptians striving to conceal? The ancient world is rife with lost cities, hidden tombs, and vanished civilizations, some chronicled in myths, others erased entirely by time. Egypt's lost labyrinth is just one among many enigmatic structures that continue to challenge our grasp of the ancient past. Yet, far from Egypt's desert sands, countless other mysteries still await their revelation. Nan Madol, the mysterious floating city of the Pacific. Far from the arid landscapes of North Africa, deep within the vast expanse of the Pacific, lies another enigma, one that challenges all conventional explanations. It is a city built upon the water, a fortress composed of colossal basalt columns that seems far beyond the capabilities of an ancient civilization. A place so enigmatic that it has earned the titles of the Venice of the Pacific and the eighth wonder of the world. This is Nan Madol, one of the most peculiar and remote ruins on Earth. Off the coast of the small island of Pohnpei, located within the Federated States of Micronesia, there exists an intricate network of over 90 artificial islets. Each islet is interconnected by a complex system of canals, forming a city distinct from any other known in ancient times. These monumental stone edifices rise from the water, constructed atop foundations of black volcanic rock. Towering walls composed of hexagonal basalt columns, some weighing as much as 50 tons, loom over the area, now overgrown with lush tropical vegetation. What makes Nan Madol particularly perplexing is not just its unique design, but the sheer improbability of its construction. These immense basalt blocks are meticulously stacked with incredible accuracy, yet the process by which they were transported and assembled continues to baffle modern engineers. Pohnpei itself lacks any identifiable quarry that could have supplied these stones, and no traces of the tools or technology used to move them have ever been found. Built atop coral reefs, without any natural landmass to support such immense structures, Nan Madol remains an astonishing testament to the ambition and ingenuity of an unknown civilization. Adding to the intrigue are the local legends that surround the site. According to Pompeian oral traditions, the city was not solely the work of human hands. Instead, it was allegedly constructed by powerful sorcerers who employed magic to levitate the stones into position. These stories recount how two brothers named Olisihpa and Olosohpa arrived on the island and wielded supernatural forces to establish Nan Madol as a spiritual hub. The site subsequently became the religious and political epicenter of the Saudeleur dynasty, a ruling class that maintained control over Pohnpei for centuries, only to mysteriously disappear. But who truly built Nan Madol, and for what purpose? Archaeologists have long grappled with its origins. Radiocarbon dating suggests that the site was first inhabited around 200 BCE, but the grand stone structures themselves were likely erected much later, perhaps during the 12th or 13th century. The Saudeleur rulers, known for their rigid caste system and strict control of the island's population, established Nan Madol as their royal capital. Yet its location, situated on the water rather than solid ground, raises critical questions. Why would the ruling elite choose to build a city in the ocean rather than on the mainland? One theory posits that the site's placement was intentional, serving as a means to isolate the elite from the common populace. Another theory suggests that Nan Madol was designed as a fortified stronghold, its isolated position and tall walls providing both security and an air of divine power. Some researchers believe it functioned as a sacred location, a secluded area where priests and rulers could conduct rituals without interference from ordinary citizens. However, the most perplexing aspect remains the construction itself. The basalt columns that make up Nan Madol are not typical stones. They are naturally occurring hexagonal formations, similar to those seen at the Giant's Causeway in Ireland. Yet moving these stones, some weighing over 50 tons, without modern machinery or cranes, should have been practically unfeasible. The nearest source of basalt is miles away across open ocean waters. Without wheels, pulleys, or draft animals, how did ancient builders transport these massive stones across the sea and then raise them into towering formations? Some researchers speculate that they may have employed a system of wooden rollers and rafts to haul the stones, yet no evidence of such tools has ever surfaced. Others have proposed that the builders possessed advanced, now-lost technology, which enabled them to manipulate the basalt columns with unmatched precision. Then there are the local legends of levitation. While the notion of ancient levitation sounds far-fetched, the sheer scale and complexity of Nan Madol compel even the most skeptical researchers to acknowledge that something truly extraordinary must have taken place, whether through innovative engineering, forgotten technology, or some force beyond our current understanding. Yet the mystery of Nan Madol does not end there. The site was abandoned centuries before European explorers first set foot in the Pacific, transforming from a bustling city to a ghostly relic, slowly overtaken by the jungle. The reason for this desertion remains unclear. Some say the Saudeleur dynasty fell to invaders, while others speculate that the city became unsustainable, its reliance on imported resources making long-term habitation impossible. There is also a darker aspect, the legend of a curse. Even today, many locals refuse to enter Nan Madol after nightfall. Folktales warn of spectral guardians haunting the ruins, strange lights flickering among the stone structures, and an invisible force punishing those who intrude. Modern visitors have reported an eerie presence, equipment malfunctions, unexplainable sounds, and the unsettling feeling of being observed. One particularly chilling story from the 20th century tells of an American researcher who, after exploring Nan Madol, mysteriously fell ill and died shortly thereafter. This tragic event only fueled beliefs that the ancient spirits still protect their homeland, safeguarding its secrets from the outside world. Despite decades of archaeological investigation, Nan Madol remains one of antiquity's most unresolved puzzles. Its construction defies logical explanation, its history is fragmented, and the reasons for its abandonment are still debated. As it stands today, the site serves as a reminder of the countless lost chapters of human history, civilizations that rose, flourished, and faded, leaving behind nothing but the ruins of their remarkable achievements. Beneath the waves of the Pacific, the ruins of Nan Madol remain a silent enigma, an ancient city whose construction challenges our understanding and whose story is steeped in mystery. Yet Nan Madol is but one of many forgotten cities that continue to elude our grasp. The enigmatic Uffington Whitehorse, a symbol lost in time. Some ancient relics challenge our comprehension of the past, not because they are hidden beneath oceans or buried within overgrown jungles, but because they are etched directly into the very surface of the earth. High in the undulating hills of southern England, a figure has loomed over the landscape for millennia, a colossal, stylized horse carved into the chalk hills of Oxfordshire. Its sleek, elongated form stretches nearly 360 feet across the terrain, presenting one of Britain's most long-standing and puzzling enigmas. This is the Uffington Whitehorse, an ancient symbol so old that no one truly knows who created it or why. The Uffington Whitehorse is unlike any other hillside figure. While England is dotted with numerous chalk carvings, most of them are relatively modern, having been crafted within the past few hundred years. In stark contrast, the Uffington horse stands apart. Studies have determined that it is at least 3,000 years old, dating back to either the late Bronze Age or the early Iron Age. This means that when the Romans set foot in Britain, it was already an ancient relic, and even they could not unravel its origin. Throughout the centuries, countless theories have emerged regarding its purpose and meaning. Was it a religious symbol, a tribal emblem, or a marker of a forgotten kingdom? The carving itself is captivating and unique in design. Unlike realistic portrayals of horses, the Uffington figure appears abstract and strikingly modern in style. Its fluid curves and elongated limbs give it an almost ethereal quality, completely distinct from other artworks of its time. Some scholars even speculate that it may not represent a horse at all, but perhaps something entirely different. Why would ancient people invest such effort in crafting such an enormous figure into the hillside? The magnitude of labor required to both create and maintain the Uffington Whitehorse implies that it was of profound importance to those who constructed it. The figure was cut into the chalk hillside, meaning it would have needed continuous upkeep to prevent nature from reclaiming it. Generation after generation had to make a deliberate effort to clear the figure, ensuring its visibility, indicating a significance that persisted over countless centuries. One prevalent theory is that the white horse served as a territorial marker, asserting ownership over the land by ancient tribes. If this were true, it would have been visible from great distances, a clear message to travelers or potential foes passing through the region. Another possibility is that the figure held religious or ceremonial value, perhaps linked to an ancient fertility cult or a culture that venerated horses. When the Celts arrived long after its creation, they revered horses as sacred creatures, often associating them with deities and warriors. Some historians suggest that the Uffington horse might symbolize the Celtic goddess Epona, a divine figure connected to horses and protection. Yet the enigma of the white horse extends beyond its potential meanings. Some researchers propose that it could possess astronomical significance. Specific alignments with the sun and stars hint that it might have been part of a larger ceremonial landscape, utilized for seasonal rituals. Adding to this speculation is the nearby Dragon Hill, a flat-topped rise located just below the figure. Local lore claims that it was the site where St. George defeated the dragon, and some believe that it has held sacred status since prehistoric times. Others have ventured into even more unconventional theories. Could the Uffington White Horse be a remnant of an ancient script, a pictogram from a civilization long forgotten? Some theorists even posit that it might depict a celestial event, like a comet blazing across the sky, immortalized in chalk. The figure's unconventional and almost extraterrestrial design has led to conjecture that it could symbolize something seen not on Earth but in the heavens above. One particularly intriguing theory is that the white horse may be far older than traditionally believed. A few alternative historians speculate that it could predate even the Bronze Age, potentially dating back to the Neolithic period. If this notion holds true, it would make the Uffington horse one of the oldest artistic depictions on the planet, linking it to ancient cultures that have long since faded into oblivion. What remains indisputable is the white horse's enduring presence, not just on the chalk hills of Oxfordshire, but within the collective memory of those who have lived alongside it. The figure has inspired numerous legends, from stories of dragon slayers to myths of spectral horses racing across the landscape. Remarkably, the figure is still meticulously preserved to this day, with local volunteers and residents upholding the ancient custom of scouring the horse to maintain its shape, preventing it from fading into the hillside. Despite its antiquity, the Uffington white horse continues to stand out as an arresting and unmistakable symbol. Whether it was once revered as a religious artifact, displayed as a tribal insignia, or served a completely different purpose, its creators left no inscriptions or explanations, just a vast, enigmatic image carved into the earth. Though the true story behind the white horse may forever remain elusive, it persists in gazing out over the rolling hills, just as it has for thousands of years. The ancient world is filled with lost cities, forgotten monuments, and uncharted mysteries, some concealed beneath layers of sand, others overgrown by thick forests, and some, like the Uffington white horse, have endured through the ages, etched into the very landscape itself, defiantly resisting the passage of time. The Yonaguni Monument, an underwater enigma or natural phenomenon. Not all mysterious monuments reside on solid ground. Some lie concealed beneath the ocean's surface. Off the coast of Japan, submerged in the depths, rests one of the most debated underwater discoveries of all time. Immense stone structures, remarkably precise and seemingly purposeful, stretch across the seafloor. To some, they stand as undeniable evidence of an ancient, forgotten civilization, one that predates documented history. To others, they represent nothing more than a natural formation, sculpted over millennia by currents and tides. But if they are indeed natural, why do these formations appear so deliberate? This is the perplexing tale of the Yonaguni Monument. In 1986, a local diver named Kihachiro Aratake stumbled upon the Yonaguni Monument by chance. He was not searching for lost cities or ancient relics. Rather, he was merely looking for a new diving location near Yonaguni, one of Japan's Ryukyu Islands. As he dove deeper, he encountered something astonishing: a colossal, multi-tiered structure with sharp edges and unnervingly smooth surfaces. It was unlike anything he had ever witnessed. Stair-like terraces seemed to lead to raised platforms, and narrow passageways cut through the stone. At the structure's peak, a grand staircase-like formation stretched upwards toward the surface. It appeared to be man-made, but how could that be possible? News of the discovery quickly spread, drawing the attention of researchers and archaeologists alike. Some speculated that the monument might be the remnants of an ancient, sunken civilization, perhaps one that thrived before the last ice age, when sea levels were drastically lower. Others dismissed such theories outright, asserting that the formations were simply natural rock shapes molded by thousands of years of oceanic activity. Yet, as more divers investigated the site, peculiar details began to surface, details that made the natural formation hypothesis increasingly difficult to accept. The Yonaguni Monument is vast, measuring over 165 feet in length and rising nearly 90 feet from the seabed. It features flat terraces, precise right angles, and what resemble carved steps, connecting one level to the next. Some scholars have noted a resemblance to the step pyramids of South America, while others have compared it to ancient temple complexes from Mesopotamia. One of the most compelling arguments for the monument's artificial origins is the apparent presence of tool marks, straight, clean cuts along the stone, as if shaped by human hands. Some sections even appear to have been deliberately smoothed, potentially with chisels or similar tools. The structure also features elements that look like archways, columns, and what some interpret as a grand central hall. Perhaps the most intriguing feature of all is the so-called face, a prominent, carved-looking figure that some claim resembles a human head, complete with defined eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Could this be an ancient statue, a depiction of a deity from a long-lost culture, or, as skeptics suggest, merely an illusion created by light and shadow? If the Yonaguni monument is indeed human-made, it presents a serious conundrum for historians. Based on its location and depth, the structure would have been constructed over 10,000 years ago, long before any known civilization in the region had the technological capability to build such complex structures. This would place it far earlier than Egypt's pyramids, Göbekli Tepe, and even the early city-states of Mesopotamia. Some theorists have linked the site to the legendary lost continent of Mu, a supposed Pacific counterpart to Atlantis that, according to myth, vanished beneath the waves thousands of years ago. Though mainstream historians generally regard Mu as pure myth, the discovery of an advanced underwater structure in the region has rekindled speculation. Others propose that the Yonaguni monument could be associated with Japan's ancient Jomon people, a prehistoric culture renowned for their intricate pottery and enigmatic stone circles. Yet, this poses another problem. No other Jomon structures exhibit the monumental scale or architectural complexity seen at Yonaguni. If the Jomon people did indeed build it, such a revelation would demand a complete rethinking of Japan's early history. Skeptics, however, remain unconvinced. Many geologists maintain that the Yonaguni monument is a natural formation, shaped primarily by tectonic movements and underwater currents. They point to similar rock formations found in various parts of the world, where natural fractures in sandstone and sedimentary rock can create step-like patterns resembling human craftsmanship. One of the most substantial arguments against the monument's artificiality is the absence of artifacts. There are no pottery fragments, tools, or carvings recovered from the site. Typically, when archaeologists uncover an ancient city, they also find traces of the people who once lived there. At Yonaguni, however, there is nothing but bare stone. Proponents of the man-made theory counter this by suggesting that if the structure dates back over 10,000 years, any artifacts may have been washed away by powerful ocean currents or buried under layers of silt. They argue that the structure's sheer complexity, along with its strikingly precise angles and apparent stairways, hint at human involvement. Despite decades of investigation, the enigma remains unsolved. The Japanese government has not officially designated the site as an archaeological monument, and without further evidence, the debate continues. Divers persist in their explorations, hoping to uncover decisive proof, whether through inscriptions, relics, or additional formations that might tip the balance toward one theory or the other. The ocean has always guarded its secrets well, hiding submerged cities, sunken structures, and ancient artifacts beneath its depths. The Yonaguni monument is one such riddle, a place where history and nature appear to converge, leaving behind a conundrum with no definitive resolution. Was it built by a vanished civilization, or is it merely the handiwork of natural forces molding stone into curious shapes? One truth remains certain. The deeper we delve into our past, the more mysteries we encounter. As we continue to explore the Yonaguni monument, one can't help but wonder what other secrets the ocean might be keeping, and what other long-lost chapters of human history await rediscovery. The Voynich manuscript, the world's most unreadable book. Hidden within a text no one comprehends, there lies a book shrouded in mystery, written in an unknown language, filled with indecipherable words, and composed of a script so perplexing that even the greatest minds throughout history have failed to unlock its meaning. This is the enigma of the Voynich manuscript. In 1912, an antiquarian bookseller named Wilfrid Voynich encountered the unusual book while exploring a Jesuit college near Rome. From the first glance, he recognized that it was unlike any other. The manuscript's pages were adorned with strange symbols, crafted in an elegant flowing script that appeared structured, yet entirely unrecognizable. Alongside the enigmatic text were peculiar illustrations, elaborate botanical drawings depicting plants that seemingly don't exist, celestial diagrams that fail to align with any known star maps, and images of human figures partaking in puzzling rituals. The manuscript's medium is fine vellum, which carbon dating later revealed to have originated between 1404 and 1438. Yet aside from this singular fact, everything about the manuscript remains a mystery. There is no author's name, no title, and no clue regarding its origin. It's as though the book materialized from nowhere, eluding all efforts to contextualize it within any historical period. What sets the Voynich manuscript apart is that despite being over 600 years old, no one has succeeded in deciphering it. The writing exhibits a structure similar to known languages. There are recurring words, consistent sentence patterns, and even grammatical organization. However, it aligns with no familiar script, not Latin, Greek, Arabic, nor any other lost language ever encountered. Even some of history's most skilled code breakers have tackled the challenge. During World War II, military cryptographers who had successfully decoded Nazi messages attempted to unravel the manuscript's secrets, only to meet with failure. In modern times, sophisticated AI algorithms and linguistic analysis tools have also fallen short, unable to detect any pattern that corresponds to a known language. Some scholars theorize that the manuscript could be a form of shorthand or a secretive code, possibly readable only by specific individuals. Others speculate that it may be an elaborate hoax, a deliberate forgery intended to mislead scholars centuries ago. Yet, if it were merely a ruse, why would someone invest such effort into crafting a language that appears structured? Why incorporate hundreds of meticulously drawn illustrations, some of which seem to hint at legitimate scientific concepts? Theories regarding the Voynich manuscript's purpose range from plausible to extraordinary. Some researchers posit that it could be an ancient medical text, perhaps penned by an alchemist or herbalist, aiming to record lost knowledge about medicinal practices. The peculiar plants might represent rare herbs, while the human figures in strange postures might be medical diagrams. Another hypothesis suggests that it could be the work of a secretive religious sect, using a cryptic code to encode their beliefs, thereby shielding them from persecution. A more radical idea proposes that it was authored by a solitary genius who devised a completely new language that no one else ever learned. The manuscript's mysterious nature has even given rise to more speculative ideas. Some believe that it holds knowledge beyond its time, potentially created by an ancient civilization predating our historical records, or, as some speculate, linked to extraterrestrial origins. Proponents of this idea point out that the depicted plants do not match any known species on Earth, and the astronomical charts seem to reference a star system distinct from our own. Despite countless efforts to crack its code, the Voynich manuscript remains an unsolved riddle. Occasionally, claims emerge from individuals who assert they have deciphered it, but their interpretations consistently crumble under scrutiny. Some suggest that the book was intentionally made to be unreadable, possibly as an experiment in language creation or an intricate hoax crafted to perplex scholars throughout the ages. Yet the enigma endures. Today, the manuscript is housed at Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book and manuscript library, where it continues to baffle historians, linguists, and cryptographers. The unanswered questions linger. Who authored it? What does it convey? Why was it composed in the first place? It's possible that the truth may never come to light, leaving the Voynich manuscript as one of humanity's most profound literary conundrums, a text penned in a language that time has seemingly erased. While some ancient writings remain indecipherable, others have been deliberately concealed, their secrets erased or lost throughout history. An example of such a mystery is the legendary underground labyrinth in Egypt, described in ancient records, yet never uncovered. The Voynich manuscript remains an iconic enigma, a manuscript overflowing with knowledge that no one can interpret. Though some texts remain undeciphered, others have been purposely hidden, sealed away, and untouched, lying in wait for discovery. Throughout history, countless lost libraries, buried scrolls, and secret chambers have existed, potentially holding the keys to unraveling ancient mysteries. The untouched burial site of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor's hidden legacy. Among the most intriguing sites of speculation is the final resting place of China's inaugural emperor, the tomb of Qin Shi Huang. Concealed deep beneath the earth in Shanxi province, China, lies a burial site that has remained sealed for over 2,000 years. It belongs to Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor who unified the warring states into a single empire and laid the groundwork for the Great Wall. His reign was characterized by unparalleled ambition, power, and a relentless pursuit of immortality. Even in death, he aimed to continue his rule indefinitely, commissioning the construction of an enormous underground mausoleum, unlike anything the world had ever known. Discovered initially in the 1970s, the tomb is part of a vast necropolis stretching over 22 square miles. Yet, despite decades of archaeological research and excavation, the central chamber, believed to be the emperor's final resting place, remains completely sealed. The reason for its closure is not due to inaccessibility, but rather the fear of what might be discovered within. What sets the tomb of Qin Shi Huang apart is not merely its immense size, but also the ominous warnings recorded by ancient historians. The most renowned account comes from Sima Qian, a historian from the Han Dynasty, writing roughly a century after the emperor's demise. According to his chronicles, the burial chamber is described as an elaborate underground palace filled with extraordinary treasures, rivers of flowing mercury, and lethal traps designed to protect the emperor's secrets for all eternity. Sima Qian documented that the emperor's sarcophagus was positioned on an island, encircled by a vast representation of his empire, complete with lakes and rivers replicated using liquid mercury. The chamber's ceiling was purportedly adorned to resemble the night sky, with pearls depicting stars, while intricate crossbow mechanisms were supposedly set to discharge upon any intruder who dared to disturb the emperor's eternal rest. For many years, these stories were dismissed as mere legends. However, modern scientific research has offered unsettling evidence that Sima Qian's descriptions may be accurate. Soil samples collected near the tomb have revealed unusually high levels of mercury, far surpassing what naturally occurs in the region. This discovery suggests that the legendary mercury rivers might indeed exist, posing a significant risk to anyone attempting to excavate. If the central chamber truly contains toxic pools of mercury, opening it could present a severe health hazard to archaeologists and researchers. But the dangers do not end there. Considering the emperor's notorious obsession with safeguarding his legacy, experts fear that booby traps, potentially lethal and still functional, could be lying in wait, just as described by Sima Qian. Ancient Chinese engineers were renowned for their inventiveness, and the potential existence of deadly traps only adds to the reluctance to breach the tomb. The most iconic part of the necropolis that has been excavated is the Terracotta Army, an astounding collection of over 8,000 life-size clay soldiers, each uniquely crafted to guard the emperor's tomb. Accidentally uncovered in 1974 by local farmers digging a well, this monumental find astonished the world. Each soldier is distinctly crafted, featuring individualized facial features, armor, and weaponry, signifying their purpose to protect Qin Shi Huang in the afterlife. Although these warriors have been uncovered, the central burial chamber itself remains untouched, hidden beneath a monumental earthen mound. The Chinese government has imposed strict regulations against any attempts to access the burial site, citing concerns about preserving its structural integrity. While some see this as a cautious approach, others speculate that the authorities might be concealing knowledge about the tomb's contents. Why has the tomb not been opened? One major reason is technological limitations. Archaeologists aim to ensure that when the tomb is eventually accessed, its contents will be preserved. Past instances, such as the opening of Tutankhamun's tomb in the 1920s, demonstrated the risk of rapid deterioration when ancient artifacts are exposed to the modern environment. With Qin Shi Huang's tomb, experts worry that similar exposure could irreparably damage its invaluable contents. Some have proposed using remote sensing technology to map the interior before any physical entry, but so far, no technique has successfully revealed what lies inside. Others theorize that the Chinese government may be deliberately delaying excavation for unknown reasons. What if the tomb contains historical revelations capable of altering established understandings of early Chinese history? Some speculate that the chamber might hold lost texts, ancient inventions, or records contradicting the accepted historical narrative. There is also the possibility that superstition plays a role in the reluctance to open the tomb. Legends warn that disturbing the emperor's eternal rest could bring disaster. Tales of curses linked to ancient tombs persist, and while often dismissed as folklore, such beliefs continue to hold sway. Could the authorities fear unleashing something ominous, or are they merely exercising caution, waiting for the right technology to ensure safe exploration? For now, the tomb remains sealed, an unopened gateway to a forgotten past. It holds the potential to drastically reshape our understanding of ancient China, Qin Shi Huang, and the lengths to which leaders of the past went to secure their legacy. Until the day comes when the chamber is finally open, it will continue to stand as one of history's greatest archaeological enigmas. From ancient burial sites to monumental tombs, humanity has always been captivated by the secrets left behind by past civilizations. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang exemplifies this fascination, a grand sealed monument holding untold stories of power, ambition, and the quest for immortality. Amazonian Atlantis, Ratanaba, the vanished civilization beneath the jungle. Enshrouded in enigma and languages erased by time, history abounds with mysteries we may never completely unravel. While the tomb of Qin Shi Huang remains untouched under layers of soil and myth, other ancient marvels might have been engulfed by nature itself, whole civilizations submerged beneath oceans or buried within dense forests, waiting to be rediscovered. One such legend, if the accounts hold truth, lies deep in the Amazon's core, a lost metropolis often called the Brazilian Atlantis. Tales of a vanished civilization within the Amazon have endured for centuries. Long before European explorers arrived in South America, indigenous peoples spoke of immense stone cities hidden amid the jungle, overrun by vines and buried beneath thick layers of earth. For a long time, these narratives were dismissed as folklore. The Amazon was deemed too hostile and untamed to sustain any advanced society. The notion of sprawling urban centers flourishing in one of the most extreme environments on the planet appeared implausible. However, recent findings suggest there could be substance to these ancient legends. The mystery surrounding the so-called Brazilian Atlantis revolves around the hypothesis that somewhere deep inside the Amazon rainforest once stood a civilization as advanced as the great ancient cultures of the world. a society capable of constructing monumental edifices, leaving behind intricate roadways, and possibly even inventing writing systems. Unlike classic Atlantis myths, which describe an advanced civilization swallowed by the ocean, this lost city is believed to have been overtaken by the rainforest itself, nature reclaiming it so thoroughly that no visible trace remains from above. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence backing this theory comes from satellite imagery. In recent decades, as technology progressed, researchers began employing LiDAR, light detection and ranging, to peer through the Amazon's dense canopy. These scans unveiled astonishing discoveries: geometric shapes, straight roads, and what appear to be the ruins of large settlements beneath areas once thought untouched by humans. These revelations imply that the Amazon might once have harbored a complex, highly organized civilization capable of extensive urban planning. The connection to Atlantis derives from long-standing speculation and exploration. In the early 20th century, British explorer Percy Fawcett became obsessed with the idea of a lost Amazonian city he dubbed Z. Fawcett believed ancient texts and local folklore hinted at a sophisticated civilization hidden deep in the jungle. He embarked on an expedition in 1925 to locate this fabled city, but vanished without a trace. His disappearance only intensified intrigue, prompting countless others to search for the city of Z, convinced that something extraordinary lies awaiting discovery. More recently, archaeologists have uncovered evidence that challenges the traditional image of the Amazon as an untouched wilderness. The finding of massive geoglyphs, large geometric patterns carved into the earth, suggests that ancient peoples were modifying their environment in sophisticated ways thousands of years ago. These geoglyphs bear similarities to other ancient cultural sites like Peru's Nazca lines, raising the possibility that the Amazon hosted a civilization capable of extensive construction projects. But if such a civilization once thrived, what led to its downfall? Some researchers argue that diseases introduced by early European contact might have decimated the population before their cities were documented. Others propose that environmental changes, deforestation, or shifting climates could have contributed to their decline. The jungle is relentless. It reclaims all that is abandoned, swiftly cloaking entire structures with dense vegetation. If this lost civilization built with stone, its ruins could still lie hidden beneath the forest floor, buried beneath centuries of plant growth. Despite mounting evidence, many questions remain unanswered. If this civilization had a writing system, where are its records? If monumental architecture existed, why haven't we found grand temples or palaces comparable to those of the Maya or Inca? Could entire cities truly be concealed beneath the Amazon, awaiting rediscovery? And if so, what secrets might they reveal about the real history of pre-Columbian South America? One of the most fascinating aspects of this enigma is its unresolved status, not due to a lack of information, but because of insufficient exploration. The Amazon rainforest is among the least mapped regions on Earth. Its dense canopy conceals what might be a trove of ancient history. As technology advances and LiDAR continues to penetrate deeper into the jungle, we might soon uncover astonishing evidence of a lost civilization that flourished long before recorded history. Lost civilizations, whether buried beneath thick jungles or swallowed by the sea, leave behind traces, sometimes in ruins, sometimes in artifacts, and sometimes in myths. The Brazilian Atlantis is one such legend, an ancient city hidden in the Amazon, waiting to be found. Yet, not all lost wonders remain undiscovered. Some have been unearthed, revealing stories stranger than fiction. In some of history's most famous discoveries, the legends that followed were as captivating as the treasures themselves.